If a night could define a season from the 17-point lead, from the fourth quarter, and then from stepping up when it looked bleakest, is this sort of the epitome that maybe just sums up all of 24-25?
Potentially. I mean, what we've talked about for so long, our message was, we wanted to become worthy to win. And when we were trying to fast track this and put this together in February, we were going through a lot of, tough games, but we got to a point where it felt like we were worthy to win and we were losing. And that's what was really frustrating. But what I really love about this group is the adversity that we all collectively, experienced together. We all viewed it as a gift. And it's an amazing gift, to be able to go through adversity and to be able to take on those lessons, those hard lessons, to be able to try to improve and to have better growth, bigger, opportunities. And I think tonight was an encapsulation of that, was to be able to go through these struggles, so many times where we've had these kind of games where we had to lead and then we lose the game. But we had a big response, obviously, when we were down 6, but then more importantly, in that overtime.
We've seen Davion have his moments since coming here, but how much should he take control of the game in overtime?
He's such a competitor. And not only Davion, but, I mentioned this to the group, probably several times this past week. I know how badly our group wanted to get in this thing. I could see it in their eyes. I could feel it, with their hearts. This group has grown closer together, from all these adversities. And Davion has given us that kind of passion, right? He wears all of his emotions on his sleeve. I think that's a really good fit, for us. We have a lot of guys that, are really intense, but don't outwardly express, it. And what was interesting, and I know how badly he wants this. So in the first half, it was uncharacteristically not really making an impact, on either side of the floor. And for him to be able to have that, I actually took him out. I've been basically playing him through. Every time I sub him, he's just in for the rest of his rotation. For him to struggle like that in the first half and then have that kind of fourth quarter and overtime really speaks to his competitive character. He's got something, inside of him. And it brought out the best of him tonight. We needed every single bit of it. It was not only the 3 threes, but that offensive rebound. There's a lot of those 50-50 plays that kind of defined the difference in this game.
Coach, can you talk about the leadership and what you saw from the leaders on the team today?
Yeah, I'll start with Bam. Bam is our emotional heartbeat. We all feed off his energy, including this old head coach. I feed off his spirit. When we were going through that losing streak, he was the same person, same positive guy every single day, would greet everybody and hug everybody, keep everybody on track, kept me on track. You got to have somebody like that. And his competitive, spirit, you felt his energy all game long and in the Chicago game. And it's defined by so much more than stats. It's about winning. And that's what he does. And then Tyler, was just amazing. And there were basically all the plays in between. It's just a guy that really wants to seize the moment. We couldn't really run specific play calls because of Daniels denying and disrupting and all that. So it really took, Tyler just finding just a small crevices to be able to find an advantage, and he maximized every bit of that down the stretch. He's fearless.
Coach, of all the plays that Haywood Highsmith made, and there were a boatload tonight, how about the one where he's holding off Niang, the ball just caroms in his hands, and he lays it in? Yeah,
I mentioned it to the team afterwards that it was quietly or not so quietly one of his best games that he's had in the Miami Heat uniform. It was the hustle plays, the defense, all the intangibles, and then that one-handed put-back rebound. I mean, that kind of put everything kind of at ease. It was a 1-point game. And that just gave us a little bit more of a cushion. But he has some big plays, and he's gaining momentum.
You'll go on next to the best team in the East, familiar face in Max, all-star players. You've stepped up the challenges, especially in the last month. Your thoughts on taking on the Cavaliers, what they've done, and just riding momentum into that off of this week?
We have an incredible appreciation, and I'm so grateful that we're in the playoffs. That's we're the first team to do it. Why not? To take on 2 road games, to be able to get an invitation, into this tournament. You have to respect what Cleveland has done all year long. They've played at probably the most consistent level, them and OKC, all season long. It's not by accident. They're well coached. They have great players. They have really good continuity. They play the right way. But if you have big aspirations, to compete for a title, you got to get an invitation first, into the playoffs. So tonight, I just want our guys to enjoy this. We've been through a lot. We've been through a lot this year, and our guys really wanted this. And I want them to take a moment and reflect, how far we've come in the last 3 months. We'll get to Cleveland. I think it's better that if we just get on and play on Sunday instead of have more time to overanalyze and overdo things, as we tend to do.
Tyler, against that Dyson Daniels matchup, that's one of the toughest in the league. You talked about how he tried to solve it. Just what test was that for him, especially in the fourth quarter and overtime, to figure out how to solve that?
You have to be really sharp. You can't be sloppy. You can't be careless. You have to be extremely intentional. We've developed some of these habits, getting him on the move, where it's not just all, straight high pick and roll, for him. But those, all the great players know how to maximize those moments in between, the unscripted plays, and that's where he was. And it's because of the respect of a really good defender like Daniels. But it's also a credit to Tyler and, his continual improvement and his growth and his offensive skill set. All right, cool. Thank you. See you in Cleveland.